on now, and we're going to go ahead and get moving. So, starting off at the very top, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order right now, about 6:03. I'm going to be looking for an approval of an agenda. However, I believe that there is a change that has been requested by Camila to add a number 9 to the agenda, which is relating to Holy Savior Catholic Church. Is that correct?
Good evening. Yes, Advisory Board, I would ask that we change number 9 on your agenda, and number 9 become condition 2019-52, which is part of your printed packet, not emailed to you. And then change number 9, the fireworks enforcement summary, to agenda item number 10. There's also an additional comment that should be made. Number 8, the concern for parking at the group residence does not need a DAB vote. It is on your agenda for a DAB discussion. And our planning staff will help enforce this conversation a little more when it's her turn to speak.
Very good. Thank you, Camila. Are there any other amendments, adjustments to the agenda? Seeing none, I'd be happy to accept a motion.
So moved.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been moved and seconded.
Moved by Shepherd, second by Tyler.
There we go. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. With that, we're going to go ahead and move into the approval of the minutes from December 2nd. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Has been moved
Second.
and seconded. Any discussion?
We'll have to fix this.
No, that's good. We're messing Camille out. All right. Seeing no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. With that, we're going to go ahead and move into the staff reports, starting with fire, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Holscher. I'm the lieutenant on A shift at Station 10. That would be 21st and Hillside. We have our numbers back from November and December. District 1 in November, we ended up with 32 fire alarms, 90 service alarms, for a total of incidents, including our medicals, of just under 600 alarms. Specifically in December, we don't have our alarm totals quite yet, but we do have the investigatable fires that were made. Again, as I said before, there's certain criteria that makes a fire investigatable or not, depending if someone was hurt, if we know there's someone who did it. Total damage from December was right at $102,000. It's very good considering that's the holidays. I think there's other areas of town that had much more significant property damage. I know out west did, but District 1, I believe, with 5 investigatable alarms, that's good for the summer. Department-wise, big thing that's going on right now is in the middle of a promotion process. Firefighters are taking the lieutenant's test, lieutenants are taking the captain's test. So that's taking up a lot of our time. The written test is February 12th. The assessment center then, where they see us perform, will be the first week of March. So that's taking up a lot of time and energy. We are getting several new pieces of apparatus in the next couple months, specifically a new rescue here at Station 10. That involves more heavy equipment for car wrecks, ropes, trenching, shoring, building collapse. We're getting a lot more. Currently, the rescue we have right now, Rescue 1, is down at Meridian and McCormick. So it'll be nice to have one on this side of town. We're pretty excited about it at my station. thing is we do have a recruit class going through. I'm not sure about the date that they will finish, but they're already getting ready to take interviews for the next class. So we're having a lot of guys moving through right now. Any questions I can answer?
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your service. All right. Will there be any more from?
No, stand ready for the fireworks.
Okay, very good. With that, we'll go ahead and move into the police report, please.
Good evening, I'm Officer Chad Burnett out of Patrol North Bureau. I'm the 45 beat coordinator there as well. My captain wanted me to pass along a few stats, some year-end stats here for you guys. Stats in all of our Part 1 offenses, except for larceny, which was just up just a smidge of 3%. More or less we're down. Murder was down 12.5%. Rape, robbery, and ag assault were all down from 16 to 20%. Res burglaries were down almost 15%. And non-res burglaries and auto thefts were also down for the year as well. During Christmas time, we did, Officer Stark led this. In Haiti, we identified subjects in the area that we knew on our beats we've run into on calls that were in need of some help or assistance over the holidays, along with Christmas Crusade, which all of the department contributed in. We also did a project with the Union Rescue Mission up north and handed out over 100 Christmas meals also to people who were in need and need a little help over the Christmas time there as well. Right before Christmas, we did a couple of warming assignments. Officers went out, got up at 5 in the morning and went out and identified cars that were actually out there warming up their cars at residences, at businesses, at Quick Trips and stuff, just to let them know this is not the wisest of decisions to make. For one thing, it does end up accumulating a lot of our time that we have to go out on calls like that. And two, it's an easy way to lose your car. So, and it's just if you've ever had a car stolen or anything else like that, it's a time-consuming process with both yourself, the police department, as well as your insurance company too. So, again, we pass this on, I think, at every DAB meeting, but we pass this on to all our neighborhood association meetings when we go to. If you are going to warm up your car, either get a startup warmer or start up for your car, or sit there in the window and watch it, or get cold in the car. Either way, but it's not worth the time and energy that you guys have to put, or the phone conversation you're going to go through over with PD as well. So, other than that, I don't have anything else for you, unless you got any questions for me.
Questions from the DEB? From the public? Thank you very much for your service.
Hello, Officer Malloy. I don't know if you're the unluckiest dab or what, but you got me 3 months in a row, so. Anyways, Patrol East, and just looking up the stats, it looks like everything was down as well, except larcenies for Patrol East, so it's pretty good to see that and hear that.
Good.
Patrol East, last time I was here, I spoke about we were doing a package theft assignment. The first day out, we made 2 arrests, and the next day we made another arrest. So I think we solved almost all of the cases that we had for that month for package theft. So there was a couple that came in after we were doing it. So that went really well for us. Like I said, we got 3 of them charged within the first week, so that was really good. 2 weeks, so that assignment ran for 2 weeks. And then the next week we did a special assignment out at Town East Mall. Our main focus out there was to prevent burglaries to automobiles that were out there, so that when people were breaking in, stealing people's Christmas gifts and stuff like that. You could look at it as either very successful, mainly just because there were none that occurred while we were out there, but we had marked units in the area. We got one of our pole cameras installed in the parking lot, so we were able to remote view that and keep an eye on everything. And then we had undercover officers out there too, so. We got multiple arrests, but it was for other charges like shoplifting and stuff like that, so. All in all, it was effective, and happy to report that there were no burglary to autos the entire month. So that's nice for everybody for Christmas. They don't have to worry about that. Right now, tonight, there is also, just make sure I get it exactly right, but there's a discussion group regarding the ShotSpotter system. There was a grant fund for that, and that's being held with Dr. Moreland from WSU tonight regarding the ShotSpotter down in Hilltop area. What is it?
It's a different,
It's a-
it's a knockoff.
Yeah. A shot analyzing system, a shot detection system.
You go to McDonald's, you're not at McDonald's.
Not a McDonald's. I'm just reading the text.
It's McDowell's.
So, stand corrected. But anyway, so hopefully, within the next month, you'll be able to report back what that meeting brought up. So,
Very good.
any questions?
Do you believe that your captain or maybe the chief will approve glitter packages next year?
You know, I think that might have to come from the law department, so we'll defer to them.
We should do glitter packages.
I'm not one to vote against that. Any other questions?
Very good. Any other questions from the public? Thank you very much for your service.
I never get statistics. All right, I'm Officer Carlson, Patrol South, I'm Patrol South Community Policing. 21 beat around the arena in the Old Town area. I've been down there for about 12 years. This will be my last meeting, because I'll be going to detective in a couple weeks.
Congrats.
I think there's 3 community policing officers, 2 from east and 1 from south right now that'll be going, so it's nice to move up, kind of accomplished a lot of different goals around the District 1 area, which includes, you know, across the street in Old Town, is a major focus over the years, so it's been very, very beneficial and fun, and I don't know who my replacement's gonna be yet. My assumption is it's gonna be Christopher Chrisman, who's very similar looking than me. Because some people will see us in a quick trip and be like, and they're looking like, did I just walk past you? Chrisman, he's been working the downtown area for, I think, about 5 years. So he's the most qualified person to take the spot, because I don't want to see the village burn. Statistically, as far as things go, and I'm not a big statistics fan as far as it goes, because they will go up and down. I think citywide, I think we just had I think we did real good as far as statistics across the board as a city as a whole. You get your ups and downs, and there's different reasons for everything else, but there's different. What's nice to see now is that I've been here in Wichita 18 and a half years, and I'm doing this 22 years, and over the last couple of years, we're starting to apply a lot of different things that are going to make a huge impact as we go on and as the city gets bigger. And some of those things are the McDowells of the McDonald's coming to America. Some type of technology use as far as to try to deter or catch crime has been a huge thing. Camera systems has been a big deal, and now that the camera systems, there's different waves. Anybody that has a Ring system can be part of the whole community on that, so you see that in neighborhoods, so you start to see the collaboration within the neighborhoods, and so utilizing technology in a good way is really nice, and hopefully that continues. Other than that, I don't have much to say on that, but is there any questions I can ask? Yeah.
Any questions from the Deb? From the public?
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Roseborough?
I have a question. Is there any leads in the shooting at the water wall?
Ongoing investigation. That's all I can ever say on those things. I appreciate you asking.
Thank you for your service. Congratulations on the promotion.
I miss seeing it.
Yeah.
Very good. All right.
No Captain Moore? No Boys and Girls Club report? Yeah, that was great.
Captain Lem Moore, Bureau Commander for Patrol North. There are a lot of good things happening in Patrol North, a lot of fantastic things happening. The Boys and Girls Club, for one, we had worked with the firefighters, along with the police officers. We were able to take Santa and drive him in the fire vehicle with lights and sirens with the police officers, give him an escort down to the Boys and Girls Club. If you haven't seen the post online, the video post, it's fantastic. You have all these kids screaming, and the post, the person taking the video, is far away from the kids, but you hear them screaming a block, 2 blocks away because they know Santa's coming in the police car. So it was a fantastic turnout. The center down 11th Street, 1900 East 11th Street also had an event. They hosted and had Santa up there with the kids. And so that was a really good turnout. I was able to attend that, and it was really well structured. Technology that Officer Carlson talked about, a lot of people don't realize, there's a program called Leads Online. Our pawn shops are actually, we've changed the ordinance to where they're mandated to have that software now. And that software actually, when someone pawns in an item, allows the pawn shop to take a photo of that individual, and it's sent nationally throughout the United States, through all the different states that actually have this program. We have it, all of our officers have access to it, so if we come across an item that has been pawned in or stolen, or a name, they actually have a database that will tell us anything and everything about that individual. It has nothing to do with the criminal justice system itself, meaning it has nothing to do with the jails, but it's actual people that are pawning in things that may not even have a criminal record that are doing things illegally that are out there. So Leads Online is a new technology that we're utilizing, and officers are able to log into that, type in any of our names, and then see if we've ever pawned in anything, and associations of people that have pawned in any type of item, and have to have their faces out there. So there are a lot of good things happening, as I said, up in Patrol North. We're having a great time. I've been up there for about 15 months now. Our staffing levels are fantastic. Out of the last class, there were 19 rookie officers that graduated just 3 or 4 weeks ago. Out of those 19, Patrol North, we ended up getting 9 of them. It's almost like the NBA draft. You get in there and you fight and battle, and I was able to get 9 of those new officers up at Patrol North, so that we can get a lot of good experience, a lot of new blood up there, and get them on the right track. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for your service. All right, so we're going to move into item number 3, library report. That was really cool.
Hello, Ann Eaton. I work at the Evergreen and Maya Angelou Branch Libraries. Just a couple announcements. All library locations will be closed on Monday, January 20th, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. If you have a library card in good standing, you can still check out ebooks from our Overdrive or Libby app. As a reminder, and the after-hours computer lab is no longer being offered at the Maya Angelou branch. It ended at the end of December. Customers needing technology assistance can schedule a Book a Librarian session downtown at the main library by calling 261-8500. That service is also available at the larger branches, which does not include Maya Angelou. It includes Evergreen, Rockwell. And we can help you at the larger branches as well. And if you check the calendar or online, you can see what sort of technology classes we have coming up and register. If you're interested in keeping a garden inside during the cold months, we have an indoor gardening class coming up Monday, January 27th in the evening downtown at the Advanced Learning Library. We will have someone from the Sedgwick County Extension Office, a master gardener, who will talk about indoor gardening. And finally, starting next week, at the Maya Angelou branch, we will be hosting a 3-month series of community story times celebrating the achievements of African American leaders, scientists, and activists. Next week is our first program, Tuesday, January the 14th at 6:30. Rob Simon will share the story of Dr. Patricia Bath, a pioneer in laser eye surgery. After the story, children will create a craft, an emoji optical illusion, and that's open to the public and free. It's recommended for ages 3 and up with their families. We'll have additional community story times in February and March. Any questions?
Questions from the dam? From the public? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parks and Rec. No report. Very good. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and move into the public agenda. There are no scheduled items. Are there any off-agenda items that people want to talk about that did not make the agenda by chance? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into new business. Let's move right into number 7, please.
Planning Department. You have before you a zone change request from B multifamily to general commercial for property located on North Hydraulic Street between Second and Third. And as your staff report says, and I don't know if this would help you, I brought along some zoning maps to show you what the area looks like. It is in the staff report. If you'll take one and pass it down. In the staff report, it does say that the surrounding area, it has a mix of zoning districts. It has general commercial, it has limited industrial, and it does have the B multifamily. And at one time, this area was residential, but it has over the years changed uses, and we have more industrial and commercial uses there. There is some parking area. USD 259 has some property there where they stage their buses and that type of thing. It does have Washington Accelerated Learning Elementary School has some playground area around and support for that elementary school. And a part of the right-of-way for Third Street between Hydraulic Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue has been vacated, so that has been taken into the school for their playground area. So this this property is the applicant is requesting the zone change to general commercial so they can operate a vehicle sales business at that location. And staff is recommending approval for this based on the changing nature of that neighborhood. It's because of its location and the other commercial and industrial uses in that area, it's not gonna convert back to residential. So this is an appropriate request for a zone change, and I will answer any questions.
Any questions from the DAB?
I have a quick question. It appears that there's two lots that are circled on here. I think there's 3 lots that are mentioned in the zoning request.
Okay.
I don't know if that's,
The heavy outline on the 2 lots is what the zoning request is for.
okay.
For those 2 lots. Yes, sir.
Did notices go out to the neighbors south of this property?
This is required, state law requires notification of property owners within 200 feet of the perimeter of the subject property. So as part of the application process, they have to provide a list of property owners from a certified title company that we then use to send out notices telling those adjacent property owners, and depending on the size of the lot, if it's, 1 to 3 acres, it's 200 feet notification. If it's more than that, it's 350 feet, 500, 750, 1,000, and that's determined by, to see the certified ownership list. Yes, ma'am.
So I know you said that, you don't foresee the area going back to residential, but, when I was looking at this earlier, I was wondering why, general commercial would be considered if the community plan is recommending this area to be residential? Why is that?
The community investments plan basically looked at what the zoning was in that area at the time, and so in their recommendations, they just identify that as residential. But as we see the trends that are happening within that area. Staff is recommending that, I mean, it can still be used for residential apartments, but the applicant is asking for general commercial because that permits an auto sales by right.
So limited commercial provides use of vehicle and equipment sales and conditional use.
Right.
Wondering why we're not suggesting that to be more of a less aggressive
Right.
challenge.
Because it has to do with the zoning across the street. We already have general commercial in there, south of Douglas, or even maybe the first block north of Douglas is the blue area, which is Central Business District zoning, which is, Central Business District basically allows used auto sales, that type of thing. So it was felt that because of the existing general commercial zoning and that within that block, surrounding block area, that was an appropriate zone change. And that's what the applicant asked for.
Was there any property owner that attended the MAPC meeting that was in opposition to this?
No, the planning commission meeting for this case is Thursday. So the planning commission has not heard this case yet. And I don't know, since I'm not the staff person that is assigned to this case, I don't know if there have been calls or emails sent on this. We had a staff meeting this morning, this morning, today's Monday, and discussed some of the cases on the planning commission, and there was nothing brought up by staff members that said they'd had numerous calls or any concern about this.
Okay. Any other questions from the DEP? Any questions?
Do you have any feedback from the school district?
Not that I'm aware, no.
Any questions from the public?
It's not a question, but I echo James, that we should consider the children in that neighborhood next to
I'll come up to the mic.
Sorry, Jane, I should have pointed you toward the podium. Forgive me.
My name is Jane Burns, and I think that commercial development doesn't consider children very much, nearly as much as they should. Children should be around those businesses. It's adjacent to an elementary school. Let's treat our children well. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board for any discussion.
Yeah, I have one other question.
Sure, hit it.
With this being rezoned for automobile sales, would there be any mechanical work being done on the property or just strictly auto sales?
Under general commercial zoning, they could do automobile repair. So the other thing that I wanted to point out is that if you look at your zoning map and you see where the two lots are that they're requesting to be rezoned, there's B multifamily on either side of that, so they would have to put up screening, separating the properties to the north, south, and to the east. So that would limit some exposure to the children's playground, that type of thing.
Very good.
I'd like for us to discuss the limited commercial option. It's, to me, in my opinion, it's less aggressive than the general commercial. It takes away some of the manufacturing, industrial and manufacturing options that could come with general commercial, as well as imply some of the overlays that she was just talking about. block is residential, so would like to keep the residents.
Sure. Good discussion started. Anybody like to follow that up? While we're contemplating real quick, I want to ask, is the applicant here today? Okay, very good, okay. Does anyone else want to discuss further? Seeing none, I'm hoping you'll make a motion.
Make a motion to substitute for limited commercial with all the stuff I just mentioned.
With allowing limited commercial uses, with, a conditional use of only auto sales.
Yes, there it is.
That's the way it
Limited
would.
commercial with conditional use of only vehicle and, you said, vehicle and pulley cells, right?
Right.
Right.
Camila, did you get that?
Does that include mechanical work and auto sales?
Limited commercial.
Can it include?
They can if they put it in there with, in the conditional use application. They can repair, not general vehicles, but vehicles that they have on their lot for sale, but it's not a vehicle repair shop open to the general public.
Are you comfortable with that language, Tadon? Motion?
I'm not sure, only because in the permitted, the vehicle repair limited is already there. Would that cover that? Would you need to
Well,
put that in addition?
with a conditional use, we identify what can be done with that vehicle sales or auto sales. So if we say in there that the conditional use, if we are recommending that no repair be allowed as one of the conditions, you can do that under a conditional use.
But you could also, but for her notes though, she could say, like you said earlier, that they could repair the part that they sell only. Is what.
Okay.
Are you comfortable, or you don't know?
I think so, yes, because if I remember reading, the limited vehicle repair was indoor anyways.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah.
So substitute motion with limited commercial, conditional use for vehicle repair and auto sales.
Brandon, can we have another option?
Yeah, one clarifying thing though, this is not a substitute motion, this is the motion. And that motion should be initially to deny general commercial,
Correct.
and then the second piece.
Yes, thank you for catching.
So you wanna say so moved and I can replace it?
Oh, God.
Say so moved, deny.
So moved.
Okay. So it has been moved. Before we actually go to that, would you like to
Well, you
discuss?
need a second or then a discussion.
Is there a second? That
Second.
has been seconded. Any further discussion?
What are we voting on? Not denial of the general commercial?
Yes, that would be the first, and then the
Well,
second.
Yeah, not for limited, we're voting for.
Oh, just the denial first, yeah.
Deny general.
First, correct.
So
No,
it's
it was-
affirmative,
no,
It's
a
all together.
complete-
It's
I can
denying
make that.
general commercial,
so an affirmative would say denial.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
yes, please. It is a motion to deny general commercial and add limited commercial and conditional use for vehicle and auto sales. It's all in one.
So an aye vote, a yes vote, is to deny and have
Okay.
an alternate.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because I would vote for the general commercial myself.
Okay.
As applied.
So does,
Angel.
Any further discussion?
Angel.
Angel, on the end?
so why do you want to change it to limited commercial?
Denana, did you hear?
It's more restrictive, yeah, in general, it's more restrictive. So, to protect the residents that still live there, not making an assumption that it's gonna be all general commercial one day, could still be residential. So we wanna make sure that we provide protection for the residents that still live there. Cause, to the south, there still will be residential, property, the people still live there. And then you have the children to consider across the street. The big ones that stuck out to me were the industrial manufacturing and extractive uses. Those go away with limited commercial. You have a ton of options with general commercial that can actually go there if this doesn't turn into a vehicle sales place. And then also there are restrictions on the vehicle and equipment sales that we just talked about, to include like a lot of the overlays that protect the neighborhood, as well as not doing repair, the full-on repair that you would get in general commercial.
Is there any other further discussion or questions?
But the applicant still gets what they're asking for, is what I should know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, right here, they already have general commercial, right? And they also have the residential, so why should we do this one different? When this one's already general commercial and it's by residential within about the same area of the school.
In my opinion, I'm skeptical about sticking, in my opinion, I'm skeptical about sticking a business in between residents in the first place. But they bought it and they're wanting to change the zoning. So I'm trying to figure out what could be less aggressive to the residents that are still there. Right now, we're entertaining putting a business in between two residential properties. And on the backside of a whole line of residential properties. People live there, essentially.
But have they?
It doesn't matter. I'm thinking of the consideration of the neighborhood. I live in the neighborhood.
You live there?
So I know, I ride down there every day, and I know that putting a business on that street would be potentially a negative effect. So I'm trying to think of the less aggressive effect, since they're asked to change the area in general.
Good discussion. Seeing no more discussion, I'd like to go ahead and bring it to a vote. But again, a yes vote, an aye vote, first time around, actually will deny the original recommendation for general commercial and come in with limited commercial with a conditional use. It still allows the applicant to do what they have requested to do. A vote to against that would actually be against that. If the nays actually win, then we'll probably have to have another vote to figure something else out. Another motion. All right. So with that, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Yep. I think so. Yes. Okay. All right.
And if I may, what will happen is I will report back to the planner that is handling this case as to what the action that the DAB recommended, and at the presentation of the case to the Planning Commission, a lot of times the Planning Commission asks what the action of the DAB was, and so it will be reported at that time, and they may take that under consideration, they may not.
Right. Very good.
I'm just curious, before you take your seat, is there any discussion as to why the applicant didn't come? Why did the applicant?
No, we give them the DAB dates and whatever, and that's just up to them. Maybe they didn't mark it on their calendar, but we don't call and remind them that they need to be present at the DAB meetings.
Very good. So that concludes item number 7. Moving into item number 8.
Okay, I believe this item number 8 is regarding a group residence over by 13th and Edgemore. You all have a staff report in front of you. This case was heard at the December 23rd Planning Commission meeting. All cases that are heard at that public hearing, at a planning commission public hearing meeting, are automatically allowed a 14-day protest period in which anybody in the surrounding area may file a written protest, and in this case, to the city clerk. They mail it to the city clerk's office, and we validate or verify all of those protest petitions. And then if there are 20%, generally it says 20% or more valid protests within that 200-foot area, notification area, then it automatically goes to city council for final approval. If in that 14-day protest period, we receive no written protests, then the action of the planning commission is final. It doesn't require approval by the city council. So in this instance, that group residence did not, there were no protests, so the action of the commission was final. And I'm understanding that there are some questions. I would like to explain about the group residence. State of Kansas law by right allows a group home in single family residential. So even, our local ordinances cannot prohibit that. So the reason that they needed a conditional use is because they are going to add, I think in your staff report, it says 4 more people, 4 more clients to that location. And the property, they have to go through a site review, a floor plan review, et cetera, to be able to make sure that they can physically house that many people within that building. And so that was done, and so they requested the conditional use to add the 4, which then made it become a group residence. And so that's why they had to file the conditional use.
Very good. One of the first things that I was going to do was to just ask the public how many people actually received the notification that it was at least happening. If you did receive it, at least raise your hand. So we've got 3, 4. Okay.
We didn't receive nothing by protest.
Very good. And let
I
me.
did protest. I was down there and I protested.
But you protested at the planning commission
That's
meeting?
correct.
Okay, it requires, the state law requires that it be a written protest that is sent to the city clerk, who then stamps it in to verify the authenticity of the protest. You need to follow up if you ever go to a planning commission meeting and speak against a zone change or a conditional use. You need to follow that up with a written protest petition, and those are available. You can get one of those from our office before you leave the building.
Very good.
They did not tell us.
Sir, 1 second. Aaron's running the meeting. Aaron will acknowledge you and then you can speak.
I will. And I will come back to you, so hold on for just a second. Can you tell me the radius again that we sent out? Or?
Okay, it would have been 200 feet within the boundary of that property.
Okay.
That's nothing, that's nothing.
The yards are 200 feet.
Right. That's nothing.
Camille,
So
please.
as staff, so I help support neighborhood associations and homeowners associations. All of you were called because this is a learning lesson for us. All your concerns will be heard and will be noted. And this is truly a come to action conversation for us. You will get a chance to talk, but hold on, I'm gonna just tell you why we're having you all here. I support neighborhood associations, homeowner associations, and for years, we did get complaints about residential homes becoming senior care centers in the area that you live. They have been noted, Councilman Johnson has received them, and as the C staff stated, the state statute limits what the city can do, and so this is truly a community conversation. The DAB knows they're not going to vote on it, and I have talked to several of you through phone, email, and in person, and so your concerns will be heard. They just won't be voted on for this case, so the question should be what's next?
What if there's an error?
Yes, ma'am.
There's an error in here. It says that the east, south, east, and west are single-family residents. That's not true. The one right next door to it is a group home.
And
the one across the street is a group home.
And the one next down is.
And then you go down one more, there's another one.
There's 4 of them right there in that.
Right in there, there's 4 of them.
It's really in one office part.
Everybody,
It's not a neighborhood.
There's 4 of those homes, and there's 2 individual houses in that block, and that is ridiculous.
Okay, so there's a difference between all of what the staff report was saying is that entire area is zoned SF5, single-family residential. Within single-family residential zoning, the state allows, it's state law, allows group homes that can have up to 5 people and 2 non-resident caretakers within that home in single-family housing. The change comes when they want to have more than 5 persons, then it becomes group residence, and that requires a conditional use. Your question about the 200 feet, there again, that is set by state statute as to what the notification area is for zone changes or conditional uses. Now, if you see a notice, and there are signs posted in the yards 14 days prior to the public hearing, if you aren't immediately within the 200 feet, you can submit a written protest petition, and that gets put in the file, and we create a map showing where the protests are coming from.
just a clarification, the 200 feet, is that from the edge of their property to the edge of another person's
Yes.
property, not to a building?
That's correct.
And that's a minimum, not a maximum, right? So I mean, we could increase that radius to.
No, it's a state law. In order for the radius to be larger, the square footage of the property would have to be more than 3 acres.
And that's just for notification purposes.
Yes, that's for notification
And
purposes.
the sign going out in the yard is the other notification, if you drive by and see it, that's the
You live right across and there was no sign. They live right next door.
One second.
Hold on, I appreciate
Everybody
it.
will have an opportunity.
And was there a sign posted?
There again, I'm not the staff
But
person
there should have been a
associated with
sign.
that. If there weren't complaints received by our office, the fact of it is, people, we do not have the staff to go out and check and make sure every sign is posted. That should be. There's not a state requirement for that sign to be posted. That's something that the planning department does. And if somebody calls, like if you were in that notification area and you would have called and said that sign was never posted, we would have had an opportunity to do something about that.
So Kathy,
But that's a local requirement.
going back to the lessons learned that we were starting on to begin with, I think we've actually heard here that making sure it actually is in writing and actually goes to the clerk is apparently the requirement. So DAB will make sure that in the future that anytime anyone comes to tell us and talk to us about it, we will encourage those talking to do so. But this also needs to be mentioned, it seems like, at the MAPC as well.
And it is at the very beginning of the meeting. There are announcements that state the process for this, that there's a 14-day protest period. upon, that you can file immediately following the meeting. And we send out, for those people that come in and sign in to speak at the planning commission meeting, they get letters notifying them of the action that was taken by the planning commission, and a specific date. It will tell you the date that on December 23rd, this case was heard by the planning commission. They voted to approve the request for the conditional use. You have 14 days to file a protest petition. If you file a protest petition, it has to be in the city clerk's office, and it would have been January 2nd at 5 p.m. in order to be considered valid.
So can I,
Yeah, go ahead.
can I ask you, because if, okay, so I'm gonna kind of point back to what Camila stated on the next, because you're saying what state law is, and let me say that it's, you're just bearing the brunt of all these questions.
That's right.
You personally.
Thank you, by the way.
And that's no problem. It's a learning process.
Yeah, you personally didn't do it, so just want to clear that, but I hear them saying that if they didn't get a letter, if they didn't get the particular sign, then they don't know to put something in writing. They don't.
Right.
They don't know.
Okay.
So by the time.
And so here is a, I'm sorry.
Give me 1 second. So by the time they find out what's coming down the pipe, then that opportunity to actually either A, put something in writing, or either protest what's happening, that's already gone by. So it kind of leads me to my direct question. By it being state law does not make it right. So what are the steps to neighborhood association when these things happen, when they, because I mean, we can say what state law, but they're saying, I didn't get a letter, but some of you said you did get a letter. So on the flip side of that, what I would suggest is if you get a letter like that, if you do have a neighborhood association, to at that very time right there, go ahead and distribute that out. Call the neighborhood association president, get that word spread out. Because this is a learning curve, but at the same time, it just does not seem like all of them have had the opportunity to protest what's coming down the pipe. And so as I state to you, because it's not going to do them any good to talk about what state law is right now. What is their counteractive for them to be able to protest something like this, or to be able to say, hey, I didn't get this? Is there something in place that allows them 30 more days, or allows them 60 more days, something to be held up until they can do that? Because again, unless they show them that they actually put a letter in the mail, unless they actually show them that there was a sign put in, then that's just all talk. And so again, I think we just need to kind of get down to what leverage do they have?
Well, one of the things is that whenever we send out notifications to the certified ownership list, we also include the neighborhood association contact with that letter. So one of the things that we have is that the neighborhood associations don't always update who those letters should go to, and if we send it to what we have on record, that person may not forward it to who receives that.
Kathy, thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is Camila to continue with this comment about the neighborhood association. On our GIS map, where you currently live, you do not have an active neighborhood association or homeowners association. So this is action time. When I said this is a lesson learned, this is action time. Truly, you can come together. You can join Lambsdale Neighborhood Association. The president is right behind you, Glenn. He's here on purpose. This is an action meeting on purpose, you guys. and ask to extend your boundaries to include his neighborhood association, and we will assist you with that.
And if I could impose and make a couple comments. Thank you, Camila and Commissioner Johnson and the planning board. Glen Burdick, Lambsdale Neighborhood Association, we are next door to the residents of Polo. We did get notification of this, and it was my understanding from my planning representative that I could file my protest by email directly back to him, and I was not given any further information that I needed to file it correctly with the city clerk, so we did file an objection to this move. And now I've learned today that I did not follow the correct process.
Okay. Okay, so the neighborhood association gets notification, and you can certainly, probably what was not explained clearly is that anybody is, we certainly welcome comments before the planning commission meeting. And those comments are passed along to the planning commissioners. But if if the neighborhood association has a protest, then there's a form you fill out with your name and the legal description of your lot. And each one of those, each property owner needs to fill that out and get it to the city clerk's office, because you as a neighborhood association, you don't own the property. There are individuals within that neighborhood association that own the property. So you could have written something on behalf of the neighborhood association that would have been passed to the planning commission through that planner and would have been put in the record of that case file. But it requires the individual property owner to file a written, signed petition to be presented to the city clerk's office within that 14-day filing period.
Just from our normal practice, we typically go ahead and take questions from the DAB first and then go out to the public. I'd like to take one more question here and then start out in the public to give you your 5 minutes to go ahead and talk.
Okay, so James asked the question, what next? You know, I've been on DAB for I don't know how long now, and we keep hearing about neighborhoods being disrupted, and we're always told, sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. And you know, I'll never let those poles go, I'm sorry. But, so please tell them, what can they do? This gentleman said he was there, and you just said if you're at the meeting and you protest, that stuff is passed on. He said he was there. And these people are saying that they need some recourse for their community, so there has to be, since it hasn't happened yet, what can they do as a community, as residents of that neighborhood? What can they do? That's the question.
Okay, so going forward, what needs to be understood is that your testimony at the planning commission is part of the official record. But to take that one step further, you have to submit a written protest petition that is documented, stamped by the city clerk, and then we generate the amount of protests that we get by size of lot surrounding that property. It's not by the number of property owners that protest, the 20%. It's figured as 20% of the area around the subject property. So the biggest thing that can be learned here is that, number one, file a written protest petition with the city clerk within that 14 days after the planning commission public hearing. And secondly is to make sure that the homeowners association, that we have the right contact information. And as Camila said, if you don't have an active homeowners association, then by all means, add into the Gentlemen's Homeowners Association, or Neighborhood Association rather, that is represented here. And then they can, I know in my neighborhood, we have a Facebook page, and we get notices sent out from our president that say, you know, hey, you may not be within the notification area, but there's consideration going to be given at such and such a date at planning commission hearing for this type of use.
So are you saying at this point it's a done deal?
Yes.
Yes, that was thinking.
Yes.
I mean, I know we said that, but we have all these people here and it's a done deal.
So
That's the way that,
Where is all this written? Do you have on your website somewhere where we can look and see what are the steps? So the next one that's coming, because there is another one coming, can we go to a website and find out the process so that we get it all right? You know it all. You know all the steps. You work with it every day. We don't.
right.
So do you have a website so where we can go find each of these steps?
There
So
is,
we know exactly. Can you give us that website?
that website is the City of Wichita, and then on the homepage of the City of Wichita, there is a tab up at the top that says Get Information. You click on that tab and it drops down and gives you a list of all of the departments within the city. In that list is the Wichita Sedgwick County Planning Department. And under that is a list of all of the things that we have available about, you can get an Oh, Camila says she's gonna email it to you. So make sure you sign in and provide either a mailing address or an email address.
Kathy, Camila, thank you very much. At this point in time, we're going to go ahead and take it out to the public. Appreciate your patience. First of all, instead of just tossing your questions out, my request to you is going to be that you come up to the podium. Everyone will have their own 5 minutes to go ahead and talk, ask questions, that type of thing. When you go up there, please give your name and your address, and we'll go from there. I've got one gentleman that has.
And Aaron, can
Yes.
we ask them, try not to repeat what someone else has said, we have to keep our agenda items.
Thank you, Aaron, and council members, I'll try to make this quick. I just wanted to maybe just put into
Name and address, forgive me.
Guy Blankenship, I'm at 1309 Firth. I'm just around the corner from where this proposed group home, or this item here on the agenda. Anyway, what I wanted to do is just kind of put it into perspective a little bit, because when you look at this lone agenda item in isolation, it doesn't seem like it's such a big deal. But, while I was just sitting out there, I was trying to do a little calculation in my head to try to give you a little bit of perspective of what we're kind of dealing with, because I don't think we're like in any kind of objection to, you know, having a group home here or a group home here. But in the 2-block area between 13th Street on Perth, 13th Street to Polo, and then from Edgemore to Kevin, almost 1/4 of the residential homes, residences are already converted to group homes. It's 23%. And so I kind of view it like this. If a developer was to buy a vacant piece of land and wanted to build a 50-unit complex, and in order to avoid being zone commercial, he built 10 homes, the city wouldn't approve that. You know, they would say, okay, you're just trying to fool us and you're basically doing a commercial enterprise, but you're trying to hide it as a residence. Well, that's how we feel. We feel like this is nothing more than a commercial enterprise in disguise by the concentration. And I don't think that that's what the intent was. And I realize that this is a state rule, we can't really do anything about it, it's kind of a done deal. And so it is what it is. But I think that we need to look at that and maybe put some restrictions on the concentration so that we're not getting so many all in one, you know, right next door. And like my neighbor pointed out, our lots are my lot's 130 feet wide, I don't know what theirs are, but with a 200-foot notification, that's not adequate, you know?
And if they're.
That would just basically capture the guy right next door.
So, one thing I would actually just mention to you, and it didn't seem like you're asking particular questions, but I would encourage you to go ahead and reach out to your state representative and senator and at least express your concerns. But
Thank you.
Yep.
So the same entity owns all of those group homes?
I'm not 100% sure of that.
Sedgwick County website shows multiple owners for all of these properties.
But they all seem to like our neighborhood.
Because you have 6 bedrooms.
Huh?
We have 6 bedrooms.
Yeah, well, we have some nice homes right there in that neighborhood.
It's a really nice neighborhood.
Anyway.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Who'd like to go next?
How do we stop more from coming? How do we do that? How do we stop more from coming? I live across the street from one.
Can you ask the question?
If you would, state your name and your address and.
My name is Hortense Grant, and my address is 5517 Polo Drive. And I live straight across the street from one. One's next door, and one's on the corner, and then one right around the corner. So my question is, how do we prevent them from coming again? This area where we live is nice, quiet area. No cars on the street, no ambulance and fire department coming every 5 minutes. And we just don't like it. And the parking that we have, especially, like across the street, they park on the street. Next door, they all, you can't all get out of my driveway. So my question is, how do we prevent this from happening again? Another one from moving in down the street, across the street. Thank you.
So
That's my question.
I'll give my 2 cents. I'll probably go ahead and kick it to Kathy as well. By state statute, as I think we've actually heard, if someone actually comes in and purchases the property, or if you wanted to go ahead and bring in people into your home to do that, you have that current by right, unless you actually exceed the number of people threshold that apparently happened in this particular situation. So
There's 8.
Right. So if it exceeds that, then they would need to go ahead and come here. In that situation, Camila's actually mentioned it, and I think other people have too. Anytime you see a sign, if the sign went up, you make sure you say something about it. Anybody that actually does receive a letter, talk to your neighbors. And when we actually talked a little bit about either one, starting your own neighborhood association or joining with another, the ability to go ahead and have an organization like that that is well-informed in discussion is helpful. If the group were potentially larger, then the president of this homeowners association would hopefully make sure to reach out to everyone that may not have actually heard, and your ability to go ahead and officially protest and comment at all meetings certainly would increase your ability to have the type of outcome that you would desire. But I'll also go back to what I mentioned before. Based off of what the legislation currently is right now, I don't think there is any requirement or any prohibition from a certain density. And maybe that might be something that would be an improvement to the current law. And so from that perspective, I would encourage you to go ahead and reach out to not only your legislator, but also senators. So
who's holding them accountable for if there was no signs posted or there was not proper?
Fair question.
Put into the community?
Remember, any public comment, if you have a comment, thought, anything, there's a podium.
Yeah.
You have to be called on, go to the podium, name and address.
That's a very good question. And hold that thought, because I will ask you to come up to the podium and ask that question. Without answering that question, what else would you recommend happen?
Your remedy is to get your neighbors to file that written protest petition. I have had a case over in the Rockwood neighborhood off Woodlawn that there was 1 or 2 neighbors that carried the petition around and gave a petition to the neighbors, and there was enough protest with that petition that it got sent to the city council, and it was denied.
We have two different questions on the floor, y'all. To keep my notes clear, the question is really about how do we get to our state legislature, not the current protest. That's the current question from Ms. Grant, is how do we keep, we already have 8 group homes, how do we prevent more than 8 group homes is her current question. And so we're kind of going backwards to the original zoning conditional case.
Does density matter?
That was my question. Can we come up with some kind of density law? I mean, there's literally 8 of them within less than a mile.
Very good. Similar question, would you please come to the
I'm
podium?
fine, I don't want to jump.
No, please, I'm asking you now. So thank you for your patience. And again, please state your name and address and then ask your
My name is
question.
Charles Bauman. I live at 1324 Perth Court. Technically, I'm 700 feet away from this house. I have 4 children. 3 of them still are at home. I've got 2 teenage girls. I live next door to another group home, which we tried to protest. It's a men's group home. I have 2 daughters who are teenagers, and they sit on their roof and gawk at my daughters. Do you know how hard that is as a father? Do you have any idea how much I want to punch those kids? I'm just sharing that because
They peek through our fence
that sucks.
and look at our kids.
And now that we've got 5 of them within a block,
Yes.
and you're wanting to add more and more, I love my house. I have a great house. It's a great neighborhood. It's a fabulous neighborhood. I want to live in my house for another 20 years. But if I keep getting more group homes, I'm going to leave. And it's not going to be a neighborhood anymore. And that's what really bothers me, is the fact that density-wise, yeah, it's a state law. Can we come up with a city ordinance? I know city ordinances can conflict with state law, and you can have a local law that says, hey,
We sure can.
great, we can have some group homes. But maybe we should limit, maybe 4 per square mile. Maybe 8. We're already at 8. I know that on Kevin Street, I know that there's 3 other houses for sale right at this moment, which is again within maybe 1,000 feet of my house now. All of those houses are big 4, 5, 6 bedroom houses. And they're all on one level, and that's what these group homes want. Can't we stop this? It's becoming a de facto office park, is really what they've done. Like Mr. Guy was saying, it's become an office park. That's not fair. It's not fair to me for buying a house and wanting to live in it and have it. It's not fair to my children.
Property value.
I mean, I'm just, sorry, that's all I want to say, but I think there should be, Councilman, we have, you are our representative. We have city laws. Why can't we come up with a city ordinance? I understand there's a state law, but we should have a city ordinance that says, hey, enough's enough. We're still maintaining. Yes, we've got 5, that's great. Now move along. Because you're gonna lose this neighborhood. I'm just telling you, you are really truly gonna lose this neighborhood. And it's a fabulous neighborhood. But if it goes to that many group homes, it's gonna be gone. I'm just, I tell you how nice the neighborhood was. My neighbor across the street was Mr. Pompeo.
Yes, that's how nice the neighborhood is.
That's how nice the neighborhood was. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that he's got a big old house that's still sitting there, you know? Thank you.
So just to address it, I was waiting until you all got done, but since it was brought up and in the moment. So I receive these complaints all the time, not just from your neighborhood, all over District 1, where we've got youth group homes, both male and female. We've got senior homes, and neighbors are upset for all the same reasons you are. This is probably the most dense I've seen, but in other areas you see them blocks apart. So I have reached out to staff about trying to do something about this. Oftentimes I am told there's state law protections. I was even shared with there's a federal law protection at some point. I tend to not be one that cares about fighting the state, so I am someone who likes to do things to protect people, and the state may not like that. I can't say at this point, and I will take this up, I'll talk to the council about it to see what we can do. I can't say I'll get 4 votes, and I can't say our legal team will be okay with fighting the state. We get sued all the time, so I don't care about lawsuits, whether we do one thing good or not. Somebody will try to sue us. So I'm happy to work with you all on something city-wise and then see if we can actually get it pushed through. But the key for, I think, you all and everyone who emails me is this is 2020. The entire state legislature is up for re-election. This is something we can talk to them about this session, about seeing if we can get a bill introduced. But if not, during the campaign the rest of this year, we need to talk to the folks running for office about this. I agree with everything you all have said. The 200-foot notification irritates me. The sign thing irritates me. I've got on folks who didn't put the sign up. And in your case, what the real point, it was good to hear about your square footage of the width of your property. If one property is 130 feet, that just leaves 70. So it's something that should be revisited, but it's only going to be revisited if more than just me reaches out to our state elected folks. So I can help try to arrange that. Our state senator, I think, for that area is Senator Faust-Godot. Representative, I believe, is Henry Helgerson, but I could be wrong about that. I can talk to those two, but those two also are in one political party. We got to get some folks in the other political party as well. But I'm happy to work with you on that, and I do support what you all are talking about. Every time I get an email, it's just hard because my hands are tied individually. But we talk about all of those options. We've sent out, Camila sends out the actual state statute so you can read it and see what it is. But there's a lot of protections for these residences, which makes it difficult. But I do support what you all were talking about. I tend to not say what I'm going to vote on, but had this come to council, I would have moved to deny it. It's not coming to council, so at this point, I have to figure out what I can do. Hearing that there were emails submitted within the protest period, I am going to ask staff, and I made a note to see if there's something I can do about that. But if there's not anything I can legally do going forward, we just have to work on, as was stated, a possible ordinance. We will get sued more than likely with that, so I don't know if it will go into effect or what we could do with that. But the bigger thing is going to be working with those at the state level to understand neighborhood concerns and what they need to do to change that law.
I'm gonna make a comment to this real quick. I'll do that, and then if you would, I'll talk while you're on your way to the podium, if you'll do that real quick. Councilman has actually suggested that he's going to go ahead and talk to the rest of the council in the same way that we actually have an off-agenda item and we actually have scheduled items. You have the same ability to go ahead and call and make a request to speak at the city council meetings as well. They're generally every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. And so my recommendation to you to help our council person actually get the idea across to the other council people is you make the same comments there that you made here. With that?
Following up with Brandon, I was just wondering if, okay, so this is a state rule, and it supposedly supersedes any kind of city ordinance or anything like that. I just wondered if there was any way we could put like a temporary hold, like a moratorium on any further development until this question was resolved.
I would lean to
approach the city about putting
I would lean towards saying no, because the only reason it came to you was for the variance. So if I bought one of those houses tomorrow and I wanted to start this, I could, and I wouldn't have to report that with the
That's
city.
what my concern is, because like Charles was mentioning, there's 3 homes for sale.
Yeah.
And it just feels like we got a little, and you can tell it's just, I mean, there's a lot of concern. I don't know how many of the people here are just in that neighborhood, but it's just changing the fabric of that neighborhood. And it's not in the the newest part of the city or anything like that. And we've got a lot of people like Charles and all the others who are putting a lot of money into those homes, keeping them up and everything like that. But we can't have 1/4 or more of all the homes surrounding us group homes.
There's been some excellent conversation this evening.
Yeah.
And again, please.
Not from the neighborhood, not from that neighborhood.
I'm Dave Cook. I live at 435 South Oliver, which was nowhere near that neighborhood, but I know people in that neighborhood. I have sold real estate. I'll take it and hold it, then it won't do that.
There you go.
I've sold real estate. I have worked in group home stuff, some as a special ed person. There is a group home market in real estate, and you don't know it.
We do know, we're in it. Oh, we know it.
Well, yeah, you are, and the reason is because the houses are far enough apart that they can pull this bullshit. They also have, I'm sorry, Camila. The real estate market looks for places like this. They study neighborhoods to see where they can do what they can do, and you don't know it, but that's what they're doing, and the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission knows it and goes along with it because it's developers. This is a development process, and you've been had. Well, the whole city's getting had the same way, because they set up the law to take care of themselves. Real estate people set up the laws to take care of themselves. I know, because I was in the business. That's what they do. And so you've got to know what you're getting in. You know by now that you're getting into. Form a committee to study the law and to study the market and figure out where they're going to go next, and get your counsel to help you with it, because the council can. The council can do it. They can study state law and federal law for that matter. You just need to have some attention drawn to it instead of trying to fight it out in your own little neighborhood. Because you're all a little neighborhood. You're a beautiful little neighborhood, but you're little. And this is coming from money, and you're going to have to fight it that way.
If you, it seems like picking up the microphone is the best idea. If you'd continue that.
Glenn Burdick, 1148 North Parkwood, Lambsdale Neighborhood Association. And I would make Dab aware that your concerns about group homes, I'll tell you the horror story. I have 2 mental health homes in my neighborhood. My community police officer documented last year, 24 police hours needed for 2 homes. I don't have any other police calls but maybe 1 hour in my entire neighborhood. And my police department had to devote 24 hours to issues at 2 of my homes. So I'm asking, we do need some effort here, because as these homes grow, you could get the bad ones, and we've seen it.
Real quick, is there a way to make this easier to organize, that we could get your association, everyone here who may not go to those meetings, to possibly have a meeting with me, city law, city planning, to look at what we could do wording-wise to draft that ordinance?
Yes, please, yeah.
I'm free tomorrow. Everyone, before you leave, just make sure I can read your handwriting, seriously. So I'm gonna have your phone number and email. If I can read your handwriting, you'll get a phone call or an email. I will guarantee a phone call or an email. I mean, no, everyone does not email, but we will guarantee a phone call or an email.
So if you get that, again, legibly, we can work with him, and we can probably meet at Edgemore because it's closer to you. And I'll reach out to staff. We are busy the next couple of weeks, so it might be end of January before we get to it. But we can have that meeting and start discussing what an ordinance would look like, what would be beneficial, impacting your neighborhood, and we'll probably reach out to Wynn as well, because there's other neighborhoods with smaller whiffs of properties that we want to make sure we can get all of that. And then from there, I'll talk to the council about what we come up with. So if that works, just make sure you get your contact information to Camila.
And 6:30 on January 27th is the Lambsdale Neighborhood Association at the Edgemore Rec Center, 6:30 p.m. You're welcome to attend. And if you'd like to join the Lambsdale neighborhood email list, it's lambsdale@cox.net.
What day was that again?
That's January 27th. That'll be the Monday after Dr. King Day.
What time?
6:30 PM.
We've got a question here in the dab.
I was just gonna give us some information. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. at City Hall is, legislator day or whatever. And you can go and talk to your state representatives tomorrow evening. They are open and they want to hear from the community. So 6 p.m. tomorrow at City Hall. Is it 6, when, or is it 5:30?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Well done.
And Brandon, don't we have a nuisance property ordinance? Is something, it takes up too much police resources?
Yeah, I just wrote that
Property
down.
owners can be
Yeah.
responsible? Okay.
So if WPD gets called to a property too many, I have to go look at what triggers it, but too many times, the chief then can look at enforcing a nuisance ordinance, which then would charge that property owner for those police hours, for them coming out there. But it doesn't sound like you're getting police calls at every property, it's just that one. So that is one tool that we have, and that's something we'll probably talk about at the meeting as well.
Jane. Thank
I
you.
want to point out another gap, this is Jane Burns, another gap in the system. I've been in this district for the past 5 years, but before that, for 11 years, I lived in another district. Started the neighborhood association, never was informed that I would, and I was the contact, I started it, I was never the president. I got notifications of zoning changes and there was no explanation with them. I didn't know what to do with them, and so I didn't do anything with them. They didn't go to the president. I didn't know what to do with them. That's really unclear communication. Like not putting a sign out and not knowing if a sign was put out. Neighbors need clear information. We deserve clear information. I realize you're maybe short on staff, but that leaves a lot of property owners in the lurch. So I hope that's an appropriate comment.
Can we go back to the question of what they can do when they receive wrong information? Or, because it sounds like someone did protest.
I'm gonna make this kind of our final comment if we can. It wasn't per se wrong information, but we'll say how people interpreted the information. And on every notice that's mailed within 200 feet, the planning department puts their number and my number and the council member's number. So we just need people to open their mail seriously and call every phone number on it. From here on out, open every piece of mail and call every phone number on it. I received 0 phone calls for this case from anyone.
I'm referring to the email that he said he sent.
Well, the email that was sent to the staff member was just the protest was not followed correctly. That's just all we can say at this point. That's
But
not,
I'm asking,
it's not for us to decide right now tonight is what I'm trying to say. We can't clarify that one tonight of who
So there's
got
no
the
private
email.
file?
We'll follow up separately from here for who got the email, how it was received, and was it presented in a proper time frame. We'll follow up. We'll follow up. We just can't answer that one tonight.
Councilman's already committed to doing that.
I don't like no answers. If there's no protocol, then just say there's no protocol, we're gonna figure it out. But
No,
if
there's
there is,
protocol, we just can't answer tonight. The staff member who got the email can't speak for themselves tonight. That's what I'm trying to say, they can't speak for themselves.
So it'll probably be a report out at the next DAB meeting, because what I will do is reach out and see what was said, if there's documentation of it, and then from there, figure out with staff what that looks like, and then I can report back to you what that should have been, what actions were taken from there.
And my last thing is, we still have to go back to what Ms. Kathy shared. If he only emailed as neighborhood association president, it did not count. He did not count. It counted as a comment, but not a protest. There's a difference.
And there's another,
my rebuttal to that would be,
there's
the person
another,
that emailed them back should have said, this is the process, this is the way you should go about doing it. I call downtown to ask questions about certain things all the time, and I get staff that tells me from point A to Z, how I'm supposed to do something correctly.
Correct.
So if they gave me this information or didn't give them the correct information, then that should be considered.
the other thing to consider though is, so the protest within 200 feet matters a little more than everything else. So they're 200 feet, if they don't receive any protests, but somebody 1,000 feet out protests, I don't think that triggers the same as the 200 feet, because that's what it was for. So the neighborhood president, if the neighborhood president lives 250 feet away, and it's outside of the 200 feet, it doesn't count the same. It just shows the protest. So what you all as DAB saw from 21st and Oliver, and when you saw the house on the corner on 21st and Oliver, the protests that mattered really were the house to the west, the house to the north, and that house catty corner. Everyone else that protested weren't within that 200 feet. So it just showed that the rest of the neighborhood didn't like it, but the 200 feet is what triggered the actual protest to the council.
Mr. Roseborough, would you be willing to come?
Midnight.
James Roseborough, 4518 Greenbrier, 21st Street in Oliver. That's been a thorn in our side for years. And I will say, everybody in the neighborhood, Councilman Johnson, do get a protest the other night. Every time something go out, we get notified. And I will say to the group, guys, continue to work. Organize your neighborhood or go out to Lambsdale, and we get notified of that. And that's what it's gonna take. Otherwise, what if I'd known this was gonna be on here tonight, I could have brought a letter with me. I get notified for 21st and Oliver. I get notified for anything that's happening in that northeast quadrant up there now. Because you gotta have an interest. And all of us in the same boat. Same thing happened in my neighborhood. Councilman Johnson knows this. We had a group, we got group homes, they're popping up everywhere. And you don't always notified of them. They don't always go before MAPC or the DAB here. They just open up the homes, and that's what we're trying to fight now. Thank you.
Is there any other, anybody else from the public that would like to talk on this? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to the board, or to the DAB.
Good other question is there any city business licensing that happens for these group homes? Is there anything like that? There is not.
Yeah, I think that's state.
But nothing the city has to, I mean, there's state inspectors for other things and city inspectors for, I mean.
There are some collaborations, but I think the only time the city will get involved is around the youth group homes. And that's the only time I've seen a city individual working with KDHE on an inspection.
If they're gonna operate a group home like that, you think that they should have to apply for a city business license to operate?
Oh, I think so. I think we don't do enough on this, but.
You know how much they make per person in those places?
A lot.
$7,000 per person a month.
Which they can pay full price for the asking price of these properties, because, it's a commercial property, they can make a lot more money as a commercial.
Well, they're making $35,000 a month in a house next door, and they're sitting on the roof looking at my.
Yep. Thank you very much. Dan, did you have a question or comment?
What is our action?
We were just hearing, it was a discussion.
Just a discussion only on this topic.
That means we can never stop.
Point is taken. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this discussion. We're going to move on to the next agenda item.
I will be in touch with you all about this.
Kathy, thank you.
This next one is gonna be easy. Okay? Okay. The last staff report that I have is a request to operate an after-school program by the Boys and Girls Club that will be operated in the Holy Savior Catholic Church Academy building. The reason that this is a conditional use is because the Catholic Church is not the organization that's running the program. If it were the church, we wouldn't be here. So attached to your staff report, and this is, like I said, an after-school program that is proposed to operate during the school year from 4 to like 6:30 PM. And with your staff report, you should have a 2-page sheet that has the proposed programming for the program. So the Boys and Girls Club have an agreement with Holy Savior Catholic Church to operate this, and what they're asking for is the conditional use to move forward with the program.
Very good. Any questions from the DAB? I've got one question, and forgive me if it's already in here. Is the conditional use based off of this particular group that's actually going to be doing it, or does this allow the church to decide whoever they want to come in and?
It has to do with the fact that the church is not operating the program. So if some other organization went up to them and said, and it would be a nonprofit organization, it couldn't be like me starting, I want to start an after-school program and I'm going to charge for this. That wouldn't be allowed in this instance. But this is an opportunity that's free. There's no charge for it, but because they are not the owners of the property, they had to make an agreement with the church and then get the conditional use.
But they've got some flexibility then.
Yeah.
Is there a question?
I was just, it's a Holy Savior could offer the program themselves and they wouldn't have to.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
That's correct.
Okay.
Is this open to students outside of the churches itself?
Yes, it's not limited to church members.
Very good. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'd be happy to take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Any community?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
To approve. I will. And it has been seconded. I'll come back out. Is there any? Yep. Is there any other discussion from the public? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back in. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Well, it's been an interesting evening.
It
Thank you.
has.
I'm sure I'll be back one of these days.
Kathy, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience.
Remember I said you didn't do it.
That's right.
I know, but we all have frustrations with this at certain points, so. It's just hard to wrap your head around it sometimes.
All right. So seeing this, we're going to move into what is now item 10, fireworks enforcement summary. And go from there.
We have a PowerPoint program just setting up here. So.
Fantastic. Camila, thank you very much.
So I'm District Advisory Board members. I'm Scott Froling with Wichita Fire Department, Chief of Community Risk Reduction. For that.
Yeah. Much better. Thank you very much.
So, okay. All right. Well, as you might recall, we deployed personnel on July 3rd and 4th of last year to enforce the ordinance, the fireworks ordinance. And we sent out 7 teams of 2 officers and 1 firefighter. And we went to specific areas that had complaints from the year prior. We focused on those areas for enforcement. We wrote 59 citations. The teams checked on 79 complaints and made 159 contacts with citizens. As you can see, in 2018, there were a lot more citations issued. I'll point out that we had 22 teams that year, 1 firefighter and 1 police officer. And so we had significantly more citations issued. This is the density we had in 2018. That's what we used in the brighter areas, the more yellow areas where we had the most complaint calls. And we used that data to determine where we would put our 7 focus areas. These represent the citations issued that year, 2018. And you can see a lot of them are in some of those focus areas.
By the way, we based a lot of those focus areas on, those 22 focus areas on past complaints in years prior. This was the complaint call density in 2019. It's almost a circle, and it pretty much represents the areas that we focused on as far as our patrols. Sales permits were collected at $45,000. Those were off of tent sales within the city limits, and we were able to finance our efforts through that. The cost for that 2019 was $25,000. So it was, and I don't know where the net cost comes from. Maybe that's not a term I would use, but there was revenue in excess of $19,000 that wasn't used for the patrols that year. We did an online survey concerning the fireworks. We had 11 questions, and we ran it in November of 2019. We advertised it through various social media sources and a website. We had over 5,000 responses to the survey. That's an incredible amount of responses, more so than typical. In 2014, they had a survey on fireworks that had 576 participants, and I think WSHU was involved in it, and they said it was a extremely successful outreach. So while we're having 5,000, that was significant. I think that reflects a lot of interest in the committee on this issue. One of the questions: do you believe the Wichita City Council should make additional changes to the firework ordinance? And as you can see here, 72% responded yes. When they were asked which kinds of fireworks should be legal, approximately half the response, and that's that orange area, reflects the state of Kansas and Sedgwick County's laws. Wichita kind of stands separate from most of the jurisdictions in the state, in that we have our own ordinance, so that there's a state statute which most people apply. And then you might see the blue area there that represents a quarter of the answers that wanted a current safe and sane under 6-foot rule, which we've been applying in the last few years. And the green area represents no change. Or none should be legal. Thank you very much. None should be legal. So. And then there's a question which is often broached: is how many days should the public set off fireworks in the city of Wichita? Currently, it's 9 days. This is what it's set at. And I would say the blue-green area, want to maintain the 9 allowed. The yellow-orange area is 4 days, restricted to 4 days. And another significant area is just 1 day is the blue area there. You can see on the pie chart the response on that. I think that was 13.5%. By the way, those dates, June 27th through July 5th were the dates for the sales and for the fireworks. Currently, they can be shot from 10 a.m. to midnight during that 9-day period. And the question is, with the time, should the time be changed? On the survey, the orange area represents a no change needed. It's about 37%. The blue area wanted it brought to 10 p.m., 28%. 11 p.m. was this green area, which represents 15%. So, but as far as the time reflected, the 10 a.m. to midnight received the most votes at 37%. And does the enforcement of the fireworks ordinance impact your personal use of fireworks? The blue-green area says I don't use fireworks at all. That represents about 39%. And the orange area represents I only use legal fireworks. And the blue areas, enforcement had no effect on my use of illegal fireworks. And the little green area says enforcement reduced my illegal fireworks. So a little bit less than almost 29% admitted using illegal fireworks during the period. So on this survey. And how did it compare to illegal use in the previous year? That large blue area was about the same as the past years, is what it represents. And the green area represents worse than the past year. And the little orange area represents it was it was better than the past year. And then, I don't know. So they don't, I'd say, let's see, 59% represented that it was about the same as in years past. So our summary on that was over 72% of the respondents felt changes should be made to the ordinance. This is what we want to look at here. 51% thought the city should allow all fireworks legal in the state, while 24% wanted to keep it what's currently allowed, and 19% wanted to ban all fireworks. There are a lot of different opinions on the change of times and days and what should be allowed, but status quo led responses on that, as I pointed out earlier. And 59% of the respondents thought it was about the same. So there wasn't a change despite our enforcement of the ordinance. And the reason why we're presenting this is we're interested in ideas and input from the public. We're attending other DAG board meetings tonight and in the future to try to get a feel for what the citizens want and make a presentation to the city council. So I stand for any questions.
Comments, questions from the DAB?
So I know city and county fire are kind of working a little bit more closely together, and since on the county side, fireworks are a little bit more legal, are you guys talking about that issue? If you're working together, it's kind of...
Yeah, well, the fireworks that are sold in the county would be illegal to be fired in the city. One of the problems we have is a lot of these tents are literally across the street from city property. And we have a lot of residents, I've had experience of writing citations, people said, no, I bought them in the city, but they're not aware of the city lines are and so forth. And I proposed, and this, I'd like to get support on this, is that the tents where the fireworks sold that are legal would be marked so, obviously, so that everyone would know when they approach that tent that it is selling fireworks that are legal within the city. We patrol those tents, we approve those tents, at least the contents of them. We, on any new introduction to new type of inventory, we rejected, I think about 15% of the fireworks that were presented to us this last 2019. We went out and actually tested them, and I can understand people's confusion and frustration, because a lot of them sincerely believe that they had bought legal fireworks. So, but the city and county fire, we really don't work closely together on that, other than responding to the fires. So, the amount of fires we had did increase this year versus last year. Did not. One of the things we discovered was that a lot of the fires were caused by improper disposal of fireworks, and that was irregardless of whether it was legal or illegal for the city. And we do a lot in public education on proper disposal. But we've actually had fires in cars, because people would put them in the trunk. Well, there's a lot of garage fires, because people put their trash cans back in the garage and so forth. And a lot of our injuries are due to mortars, which people tend to stand over or sometimes not wisely hold. But we'll have injuries from something as simple as the sparklers, right? So I think best solution to those is continue educating people, but I don't see whether those fireworks are illegal, legal are significant. In 2018, there was a fire caused by fireworks that we were able to identify. An active firework versus ones that have just been stored or disposed of improperly.
So maybe you guys can put like, or recommend the tents that sell the fireworks, have like a sheet of how to properly dispose of them.
Yes, an education sheet.
Yeah, to take away with all, same way they put pumps in your bag.
Actually, that's a great idea, because they could actually put the sheet in the bag with the fireworks, and they will take it home and hopefully read it when they get it.
That might help.
Unless you can also state whether they're legal to shoot in the city or the county, I think would be also. But my comment would be, instead of chasing people around, shooting illegal fireworks, I think those resources should be more towards safety and holding people accountable that do cause damage to property or injuries to people. So, I mean, just keeping the ordinance, matching what the county does, and,
So you're recommending a change in the ordinance? Because we've had this ordinance for quite a while and did not enforce it in the years past. So this last 2 years is when we've actively attempted to enforce the current ordinance.
yeah.
You can talk about that, right? You said you think the effort should go towards matching what the county does
Yeah,
and
and-
safety.
Safety and holding people accountable for injuries or property damage. Instead of chasing people around and trying to find people that are shooting off illegal fireworks, most of the damages come from people illegally disposing, or not illegal, but improperly disposing of them, or just being negligent and
So with those, with the statistics from the survey, is there a particular, board that you're going to meet with to figure out what parts to maybe implement or what parts to, or what are you guys actually going to do with it?
Wichita Fire Department's not gonna make any decisions here. We're gonna present the data to the data boards and to the city council. And we might suggest different, strategies based on the will of the council on how to implement those things.
Do you have any sense as to whether or not some of the nuisance issues were able to be abated by having more people and teams there?
My sense is it didn't affect the amount of fireworks that were being shot off. One of the problems we had is we had targeted areas, and teams were sent there, were areas that there was a lot of nuisance calls. But then we were also responding to complaints, and this is something that distracted us from the targeted areas, because my personal experience is I could probably address 2 different instances of fireworks in the same time it would take for me to address a complaint, which means travel time and talking to the complainant. I've had personal experience with the complainant wanted me to personally meet them so they could express their frustration. And meanwhile, fireworks are going all around me. And I let them express it. Then they wanted to follow me to where the activity was, and I wouldn't allow that. Then they wanted me to reply and come back to their location to tell me the results. And meanwhile, fireworks are going off everywhere. So, one of the problems we had with, the reason why we had only 7 groups is because in 2018, we had an assault of a firefighter. And there was one firefighter with a police officer at that time, and I was the firefighter that was assaulted. But, and it's not something I'm proud of, but I get teased a lot about it, so. This year we did two police officers with a firefighter. And I'm trying to use a mathematical term, which escapes me, but the limiting factor was the amount of police officers we could engage in this, because it was voluntary, they were paid. And so we were only able to get 14 police officers involved in these patrols voluntarily. As you can see, there was monies that weren't spent on that. It's not popular with the firefighters, it's not popular with the police officers, despite their own particular opinions on whether they like the fireworks or don't or whatever. It's not something that's something natural to, especially firefighters, because when we're called to respond, we're usually welcomed. And and one of the firefighters that was here tonight, he admitted to me that he had fireworks thrown at him, which is technically an assault. But I've had a lot of things said to me, and my job is enforcement as a community risk reduction officer, and I still don't enjoy that at all. And I've felt very badly about some of the people I've had, very nice people that I've had to write a citation to, that were trying to enjoy their evening. But the thing is that there was instances and ways to enjoy an evening legally. And it is my job to enforce the ordinance, so.
We still love you.
Thank you. So I was able to say, we had no reported assaults in 2019. So the statement I made to the chief was, well, because of the 2 officer and 1 firefighter thing, that the amount of assaults on firefighters was reduced 100%. So, and by the way, I wasn't really hurt when I was hit.
So you're taking information back, correct?
Yes, we want your opinions, we want your input, we really do.
So, I kind of want to piggyback off what he said, that, you saw the data. Most people want to do fireworks. I say, make your, citations, if you get hurt, if you burn down something, increase the dollar amount of the citations and make those people pay for whatever damage.
Based on the level, okay, because, right now it's set at $250 fine,
Okay.
okay.
And then everybody else can safely enjoy their fireworks.
I suppose.
Is the damage amount for citations for damage?
Right,
Property damage?
allow fireworks is 59% of people said, let's do whatever fireworks.
So we can't easily point to particular damage from fireworks, other than it's a nuisance for some people because of the noise and so
Well, I
forth.
mean, if a fire starts, if
Okay.
somebody's in the emergency and it's because of fireworks, you know what, sorry you got hurt, but you're gonna get a fine too.
Okay.
Are there any other comments, questions from the DAB?
What did you say the results were for, like noise complaints, nuisance, the hotline?
Let me see if I can find it out here for you. Actually, there was, I've got some further survey questions. Concerns are about half and half about how the fireworks are used. You support issuing citations. 71% supported that despite their use. There's a fine of $250. Do you think it should be increased to help? And no was 63% on that. They didn't think that, maybe they didn't think it would have an effect, I don't know. And then we established people live in the city of Wichita. The nuisance complaints, actually, I have the numbers here. I actually have the numbers here. In 2018, there was 1,437 complaint calls, and in 2019, there was 1,142, but we have to establish that they changed how they value those. In 2018, it was city-county, and then in 2019, it was broken down to just city complaint calls. But we had an average of 190 calls a day in 2019, during the period when those calls were called in, and the peak was on the 4th. We had 500 calls on the 4th. So I have other data here. In 2019 we had 51 injuries, and in 2018 we had 51 injuries. In 2019 the age range was from 6 months to 66 years old. During 2019 we had 3 structure fires related to fireworks, and 2 non-structure fires and 2 vehicle boat. I said, well, why do we have a boat? Well, that's a category that's part of the survey, but there actually was one boat where there was a fire. They'd actually stored some fireworks in their boat, and it ignited. 2018, there was 5 structure fires, 6 non-structure fires, no more boats. And we did have some grass fires that were significant in 2018, and we had, as I said, a residence that there was one that we were able to definitively attach to a firework, an illegal firework, was a bottle rocket, which is illegal in the whole state of Kansas. So, and as I said, I'm asking for questions, and I'm be happy to answer any questions from the public on this as well. Is there any other, I mean, I got a whole, I could bore you with all the data, so, all right, thanks.
Outside of Wichita, are you aware, by comparison, other cities roughly our size, maybe in the region, are there any trends getting more restrictive on fireworks usage, anything like that you?
I don't know of any trends, I know by hearsay, but I've talked to other jurisdictions, coincidentally, and also talked to people, members of the public that are from other cities. And it seems to me, and this is not opinion, this is what I've had in conversations, either you ban all fireworks or you allow all fireworks, but the intermediate seems to be a problem. And that's what our strategy has been, so. There are communities in the state that do not allow any fireworks at all. Of course, those have to be enforced as well, right?
Yeah.
Very good. Is there any other comments, questions from the public?
Can I bring it to you? So
Yeah, you can just stand, no, you can just talk from around.
I'm very mobile.
It's okay.
Okay, all right. Well, so I can, you know what, so they don't have to turn around. Okay. So I became involved in this back in 2017 when, and by the way, thank you. Sure. Okay, great job. So I've been following it for a while. And by the way, my name's Kevin Stoltz. I currently live at 110 North, 127 East. There's an apartment complex there. Life change. I came out of Wilderness Estates at 29th and Webb. Had a 4,000 plus square foot house with a shingle roof, and you know, bought the house knowing it, but that roof, you know, lasted a long time and was going to continue to last a long time. And it got to the point where it was really out of control. And that same year, Chief Snow comes out and says, well, we're going to look to completely abolish the city ordinance and follow state guidelines. Why? Well, this is my personal opinion. There's a lot of reasons, but at the time, resources was certainly, from what I could tell, at the top of the list. The comment was made then, 2017, well, we were kind of becoming an island in a state. So you had the state guidelines, and then you had the city. And my thoughts are, absolutely we're an island in the state, right? I mean, that's why people live in the city, right? For city protections and for city ordinances and regulations. Otherwise, we just have a free-for-all and everybody would abide by state rule. It takes one mortar, you guys, one mortar to take a face, an eye, or a life. In 2017, it took a life. Kid was, 17 years old or something that very same year. There's nothing personal for me about, I love fireworks, I do. But imagine, I like it to parenting a teenager. It's not a safe deal. And it's especially not a safe deal in the city. It's just not. You're the mitigation officer, and under your leadership, you got to figure out a way to walk this line. But I'm telling you, it's not, if you allow anything larger than what we're doing, and maybe there's changes, or maybe you're just figuring out what to do. I don't know, but if you allow it, it opens the door, and it's not a matter of if, it's when. And that's not going to be a pretty scene. And you know, that's my involvement, to point out the safety, the risk. Our veterans and pets, you see pets jumping through, you know, sliding glass, plate glass windows and getting all cut up. And so, you know, I don't know, I'm losing my train of thought, but this is a safety deal, and there's certainly going to be fires. We're not in the tropics in July. I don't know here in Wichita Wichita, Kansas, pretty dry environment. And it invites fires, it doesn't fight them. And, so I think that, you know, if we can be, more proactive on the educational part, I've studied your website. It's okay, you know, you get a link to a PDF of the list of approved fireworks. I don't think anybody's gonna go read that, you know, read that list, really. There's just gotta be some, you know, identification. If you're not thinking about changing the ordinance to allow it all. And I think you allow it all, and it's mayhem. And you've no longer created the safe environment that the city does. And to your point, other communities, Hutchinson, go talk to them, talk to their fire chief. I have. So, there you go. Guys,
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time and letting me speak. I sat through, yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Mr. Roseborough?
I have a quick question for you. Are you ready to take your presentation out to the neighborhood associations now? Or you gotta wait till after the city council?
All I'm aware of is that we're taking it to the DAB boards, and we're taking it to the city council, and we're also asking for input from the public, that you can go to our website and leave comments, but I'm not aware of us taking it to the neighborhood
So you
associations.
could come to the neighborhood association and do a presentation. I guess that's what I'm asking.
No. We can ask them to take comments. I can send the PowerPoint to all neighborhood associations and y'all can send a comment, but not an actual face-to-face meeting.
Is this presentation available at all on your website?
We can make it, and I don't know if it's actually on the website, but we can make it available.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
We'll put
thank you.
it in the next District 1 newsletter also.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments? Any questions you have specifically of us that we should have talked about or commented for you that you were looking for?
I tend to talk too much myself, so I covered it.
All right, very good. Camila?
Does anyone else in the room want a comment to go on record? Because it's not a vote, it's all comments.
Sure.
Because we want input, we really do. We're trying to,
Just the recommendation of the flyer idea, say, put in August 10th, when they give away their pumps with their.
I think that's an excellent idea. And one of our problems is trying to reach the public, and we have a staff member who spends a considerable amount of time on the Nextdoor neighbor, is it Nextdoor?
Nextdoor app.
Nextdoor app and Facebook, and we're on City 7, and we set out Twitter things, which I have no idea what Twitter is, but we try to get it out as much as we can on social media and so
Also have
forth.
like, something that says, I mean, when you said marking the boxes, that sounds expensive, approved vendor at the booth. So
And that's what I had thought would be a good idea, is to put a sign way out front, because really, we do have people that innocently think they bought like legal fireworks. And part of our program is to teach them what is legal, and if it's over 6 feet, you should stop your activity as far as the travel distance of these. And if it says flaming balls on that carton, do not buy them if you're going to shoot them off in the city of Wichita. But we try to educate on that too. And honestly, there's a lot of people that are rolling the dice. If you saw the number of enforcement patrols, they probably think they can probably get by. And if you're spending $2,000 on fireworks, a $250 fine doesn't seem that bad. The worst part of that is if we confiscate the fireworks.
On social media, you can do like like you can reference on social media the things that have happened that is sparking, you know, this awareness. So like, I know you probably watched the video of you getting shot, but someone getting injured, you know, you can highlight that type of stuff around the time to make people aware this is why you should be safe.
And keep in mind that the injuries reflected both illegal and illegal, really.
So you don't have a breakdown.
Yeah, we don't have a breakdown on that. And we could try to interview people, but they don't tend to share, so.
Very good. Seeing no other comments, thank you very much. Thank you for your service.
Sure, thank you.
All right, with that, we have concluded item number 10. Moving on to... Very good. Save us from all kinds of stuff. All right, so if someone would like to try and take some notes for Camila, anybody willing to do that while she's gone?
We got the video.
All right, we got video. Very good. All right, seeing that, we're going to go ahead and move into updates, issues, and reports. We'll go ahead and start on the end. What?
On January the 17th, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated will hold a Martin Luther King program at Calvary Baptist Church, which is located in District 1. And our keynote speaker will be Councilman Brandon Johnson. It is free to get in. We'll have good music, as well as a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King and his wife, Coretta Scott King. So we invite you all in the entire community to come out.
If Brandon's doing it, you should charge.
Yeah.
Chocolate donuts.
I don't have it.
7 o'clock.
I see our WIN president is here. Are you going to make an announcement about our meeting coming up?
Yes, annual dinner meeting for Wichita WIN, 27th, Boathouse. Come and enjoy. I mean, we're gonna have some great food. And we're just gonna recognize the neighborhoods, let them know we appreciate them and what they do for WIN.
She forgot to tell you the cost to you guys. The cost of tickets, $35 since you rich bad boy people. But the cost is $20, $25 a person. Knock off 10 if you can.
Did you bring tickets? Did you bring tickets?
Yes.
I'm ready to buy tickets.
What time is it?
Yeah, what was the date and time?
What time was it?
27th,
6 o'clock, 6 p.m.
27th, 6 o'clock, Wichita Boathouse.
And the guest speaker will be our newly elected mayor and
And we have a young lady from HopeNet on mental health.
Cool.
That's good.
Very good. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah.
I have fun.
You got a funny.
I'm just still trying to figure out how we did to 12 a.m.
Oh, I can show you. We can load the agenda.
Let's not go there.
There is a books and breakfast event this Saturday from 10 to 11:30. It's going to be at French Quarters Clubhouse. It is 1504 North Kansas. It will be free breakfast, free books and resources. We have a reading program that we started with the children, so they're reading to learn, but also earn incentives. So that's going well. We invite the community to come.
Flyers in the back.
Flyers in the back.
I have a few things. 2020 is kicking off with a bang, so Happy New Year to everyone. First off, just repeating two things. So January 11th is Saturday, books and breakfast. It is free. French Quarters from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Also, don't forget MLK weekend coming up. Lots of celebrations. So as Joseph said, on the 17th at 7 at Calvary Baptist Church, Alpha Phi Alpha is hosting a program. January 18th, TCAM is hosting a program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Chapel Hill United Methodist Church. That morning, Christian Faith Center will host their annual MLK parade at Christian Faith Center going downtown. January 20th, that morning at Century 2, Habitat for Humanity is doing your annual build. Arise is hosting their breakfast at 7:30 a.m. at the RSC Beggs Ballroom on the 3rd floor. At 12 p.m., the Ministerial League will have an MLK annual celebration at the Metroplex. And then on January 21st, there's a National Day of Racial Healing celebrated at the All Indian Center, 6 o'clock, I believe. Forgot the time on that one. So I wanted to give you all those days for MLK weekend. It's a great weekend here in the city of Wichita. Also, we will have a new mayor come January 13th. That is open to the public at City Hall. Mayor-elect Whipple will be sworn in. We will also thank Mayor Longwell for his service as outgoing mayor. And then immediately the next day, Mayor Whipple gets the same excitement that I had. He will run the meeting the next day. And so when we were sworn in January 8th, the next day was our first meeting. So he'll get that opportunity. So I just wanted to let you all know about that. January 14th, the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan will release their quote-unquote final scenario. I say that quote-unquote because we're still seeking public input on riverfront stuff. Remember, the coalition did decide to go forward with scenario 1A, which was the best economic benefit for Wichita, but it did eliminate the facility of Century 2. Again, that's just a master plan. There's no decision made by the council on that. The master plan will be proposed to the community on January 14th. It won't come to council probably until sometime in March for an actual vote. A master plan is just a plan. It's something that can be broken down into phases. We did amend the comprehensive plan when we looked at 21st and Oliver. So again, it's just a plan. It's not a final decision on tearing down anything. It's just something that is aspirational for us to shoot forward to. But that will happen on January 14th, 5:30, Newman University. We want engagement, we want your feedback, and we want to hear what you think about what that final presentation will be. Two last things. February 1st, we're having our District 1 breakfast at the new YMCA on campus, the Innovation Campus. So again, February 1st, on campus, new YMCA. It's a great facility if you haven't been in there. Breakfast is at 9:30. Two great topics. We'll be talking about the riverfront, so you'll see that in person. And then also the Wichita Water Partners will be there to talk about where we are with our water treatment plant and all of the additional things that they are offering as far as scholarships and training and how they're targeting and looking at diversity and inclusion. So that will be a part of that breakfast. And then lastly, to you all as DAB members, I'll be reaching out to you through email to see if you want to stay on DAB. So appointments end on March 31st. If you've enjoyed this experience, you can talk to me about staying on. If this is something that's taken up a lot of time or difficult, or you want to move on, you can let me know that as well. But I will be reaching out to see if you want to be reappointed, so just let me know. And then we will have a refresher, depending on how many people leave, a refresher training sometime in March. If we don't get a lot of new DAB members and everybody loves each other and we stay here, then we'll just have a quick refresher and it won't be as in-depth as our first one that we had. And I think that is all of my information. Do you have any questions for me or concerns? You want to stay here till midnight?
One announcement, the YMCA job applications are available for teenagers. They're due January 20th. So teenage summer job positions, age 15 to 17. Please take an application and share it on Facebook, social media, 15 to 17 year olds. And income does not matter versus the other two job openings, income does matter. This is where you're a working class family, this is the one when you get your kid in.
Okay. One last question. Would you all like to be invited to that Lambsdale meeting where we talk about the 200 feet notification and all of that?
I think it'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll get with Camila and make sure you all get invited to that as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So there is a motion that has been suggested and seconded.
Substitute.
All those in favor of closing the meeting? What's that?
Motion was,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.